Chapter 7. At the train stop in the city centre, Rex eagerly hoisted his sack on his back, opened the carriage door and jumped down. I followed him across the canal bridge and into the winding high street. Although the day was cold and grey, the shops and stalls seemed to be doing good business. Some light snow had fallen and the city looked delightful in its seasonal garb, with garlands hung across the streets, emblazoned with hearts and stars. Braziers had been lit, and the sweet aroma of roast almonds seasoned the air. Street musicians, acrobats and magicians were competing for the attention of the crowds between the market stalls, where all kinds of trinkets, some homemade, some purportedly from the Orient, were on sale as Yule gifts. I made a mental note to look for something nice I could bring back to Marika. It might appease her for my sudden disappearance. I saw several other people dressed up as the Yule Father, like my companion. A few were ringing handbells and beckoning to passers-by, cajoling them to enter shops or taverns, while others were telling fortunes or simply begging. "You'd fit right in here," I said. "Too much competition," he muttered. "Oh, and just look at that blasted nonsense." A large banner, bearing the words "Merry Nicholas-tide," flapped in the breeze above the street. Alongside the words was a crudely painted image of St. Nicholas the gift-bearer, looking fat and resplendent in his red and white robes, seated on a giant sleigh drawn by a team of reindeer. "I'm pretty sure it didn't look anything like that when they handed him over. I've never seen a sleigh like that up north for a start. You'd never get it through the forest. And that Nicholas-tide rubbish." "Most of the other signs still say Merry Yule, sire." "Oh, give the church an inch and they'll take a confounded liberty. They need to be kept on a tight leash. Remind me of that." I drank in the atmosphere gratefully. Kantarborgans celebrate Yule for the whole month of December. Candles burn brightly in the windows, and there is feasting and merriment every day. I've always loved this season. "I've always hated this season," said Rex loudly. A woman passing by glanced at the Yule Father in some surprise. "It's nothing but a drinking orgy. No one does any work. The cost to the kingdom in lost work time is incalculable." "Well, people need to relax and enjoy themselves once in a while." "Once in a while? It's the whole damned month. Do you know, when I was at court, every day of Yule, as soon as it began to get dark, and that's the middle of the afternoon, you know, at this time of year, everyone would disappear. Off they would all go, to the taverns. Tradition, they said. Servants, courtiers, guards, the lot. I'd be practically alone there in the palace. If an enemy had decided to attack us at that moment, we would have been utterly helpless. Luckily, most of our neighbouring kingdoms are just as foolish about the solstice as Kantarborgans are. Blasted superstition." "But surely it's only natural to celebrate the darkest point of the year, just before the days begin to brighten again." Yes, all right, but couldn't one day be enough? We could call it Big Yule Day or something, or 2 days at most. First Yule Day and second Yule Day. And that ought to be enough for any—" He stopped abruptly and placed his hand on my arm. "Karl, listen." The faint strains of some lively piano music could be heard drifting on the wind. "My God, that's Maple Leaf Bragg." He set off, marching towards the sound, his boots scuffing in the snow. We traced the joyous jangling to a basement tavern on a corner, where we stood outside listening. A peeling blue poster announced that Miss I. Anderson would be playing the new jazz music today. The sound that emerged from within undeniably resembled jazz, and by the sound of it, it was getting an enthusiastic reception. I followed Rex as he descended the steps and cautiously pushed open the door. Inside, by candlelight, a large group of Kantarborgans of all ages sat listening to a very respectable-looking lady hammering out some chirpy tunes on a battered upright piano. She appeared to be playing from handwritten sheet music. I had heard rumours that some of the melodies on my desks had been scored and were circulating as pirate copies, but I had never imagined that the craze might have spread to Kantarborg. "Come on, Karl, let's have a drink now that we're here," said Rex, fishing some more of my coins out of his pocket. "My treat." After a glass of glögg, the traditional hot-spiced wine, my companion's Yule spirit had improved considerably. He sat, entranced by the music, tapping his fingers to the beat and occasionally humming along. "Isn't it wonderful, Karl?" Almost all of the tunes I had heard so far seemed to have originated in my meagre collection of discs, but not quite all of them, which puzzled me a little. Was there some other source of jazz melodies around here? Or perhaps they were even writing their own. Rex sent me up to the bar to get more drinks. These would have to be our last. I was worried about the time. As I picked up the glasses and walked back to our corner, someone called out a toast to the pianist. She stood up and bowed shyly to the assembly. Rex, meanwhile, had struck up a conversation with the man beside him. "You think you have problems with women? I have 2 wives, and either one of them might attack me at any moment for an airship. Oh, you can laugh, but it's perfectly true. Ah, there you are, Nielsen." "Rex, we'll really have to—" He snatched the glass from my hand, and to my horror, leapt up onto his chair. "I will give you a toast," he shouted out to the assembly. "To the young king, a true lover of jazz." An awkward silence fell across the room, as its occupants stared at the crazed man in the Yule Father costume. Rex, seeing that no one was about to share his toast, shrugged and knocked back his drink. The pianist hurriedly sat down and began to knock out another merry tune. A man pushed his way through the crowd towards me. "I don't know who you and your friend are," he murmured urgently in my ear, "but I think you should leave now. We don't want any trouble here. This is not some royalist saloon." I nodded, picked up my companion's sack, grabbed Rex by the elbow and manoeuvred him out of the door and up the steps into the snowy street. "What did you do that for?" he complained, shaking off my guiding hand as we walked up Wool Merchant Street. "I was just starting to enjoy myself." "Perhaps you could try to enjoy yourself a little less, Majesty, before you get us both killed." "Oh, nonsense, Nielsen. You were always such a stick in the mud. You should relax more." "Could I give you some advice, sire, for a change?" "Well, why not, Karl? You are my one remaining counsellor, after all." "Give up this crusade. It's hopeless. Kantarborg has moved on." "But I am the rightful monarch of this kingdom. And what would you have me do? Go back to begging on the streets?" "Well, I don't know. Learn a trade? Become a musician?" "Indeed, why not?" he laughed. "I was taught the piano in my youth, you know. Old Peterson, the music tutor, with his metronome and compendium of Anglian and Cantish folk melodies, Alley Cat and all the rest of them. Every Saturday afternoon at the palace, dear God. But unfortunately we can only be who we are, Nielsen, and follow that path wherever it leads. Don't you agree? Are you listening?" Sorry, Majesty. Yes, I suppose you're right." I had been a little distracted by an odd sight. The king followed my glance and stared. "Tell me, Karl, have my wits deserted me entirely, or was that a pregnant monk?"